UFC Vegas 85. These are the full card predictions and the betting breakdown. Main event is Nasruddin Imavov versus Roman Dolidze. I'm looking forward to talking about each of the matchups on this card. So make sure you guys smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. Turn the post notifications on and make sure to share the video as well. And also note, I'm going to be live for the entire card Saturday, 4 p.m. Eastern time. Don't miss the fight companion. Cannot wait for it. And let's get into the fights. Starting the card off, we have Thomas Petersen versus Jamal Pogues. I'm going to be picking Thomas Petersen to win this fight. Jamal Pogues has lost to grapplers outside of the UFC. Most recent one was his loss to Alex Polizzi, who was pretty good at light heavyweight over in Bellator. Petersen is one of those hard-nosed, kind of like early 2000s style of fighters. He's a good wrestler, and that's what he does. He's going to press forward, he's going to take you down, and he's going to beat you up from the top position. He's actually very heavy on top. He's strong on the ground, and I also think that in the stand-up, Jamal Pogues, specifically coming from light heavyweight and then moving up to heavyweight now and kind of just filling his frame out with more body fat as opposed to muscle mass, doesn't seem to be a heavy-handed guy. I don't see Jamal Pogues as somebody with legitimate punching power in this heavyweight division. And the way to keep somebody like Thomas Petersen off of you is you better rock the absolute hell out of him. And I don't think Jamal Pogues has those capabilities. I think Pogues is going to be pressured against the cage, especially at the apex. He's going to be taken to the ground, and he's going to be beaten up here. I think Thomas Petersen most likely getting it done with ground and pound in this fight. Pogues' stand-up is pretty solid. He's comfortable out of southpaw. He's got decent hand speed and movement, but nonetheless, I don't see him as like a true heavyweight. I think he'd be better, leaner, and at light heavyweight. And I also just think he doesn't have the kill shot, that knockout power. And that's something you need to beat Thomas Petersen. Quick little note before we look at the odds too. Petersen's only loss was a later stage, I believe, third round knockout loss to Waldo Cortez Acosta. And I remember watching that fight when Waldo was making his debut. And like, I was kind of worried about Waldo when he fought these wrestlers off, because Petersen had success taking Waldo down, backing him up. Jamal Pogues is not to the level of boxing, even as somebody like Waldo, and I think that he's not a natural heavyweight. So we're going Thomas Petersen, ground and pound. Now, as far as the odds, Petersen sitting at -170 as the favorite. That's a quality line here. +145 for Pogues. Petersen doesn't have the most intimidating look ever, I'll tell you that. Now, I do think it probably... Ooh, it's under 1.5. I thought it was under 2. Under 1.5 +190 is risky, but I'll say it goes under. Could definitely go longer. This is possible to be Petersen's first decision win. I'm going to call a ground and pound stoppage, but it's not like it's impossible for him to end up winning, you know, a wrestling heavy decision. He's coming off of a win on the Contender Series over Chandler Cole, who he ran through pretty easily. Cole was on The Ultimate Fighter as well and had like that sick moment on Tough with the kick. And Jamal Pogues lost to Mick Parkin, and then previously on debut win over Josh Parisian, who's, you know, definitely one of the worst guys on the roster at heavyweight, just to be 100% honest. Petersen should run him over. Dominant wrestling performance. We're going with the old school wrestler. Next fight on the card, it's Marquel Mederos versus Landon Quiñones. I think Marquel Mederos is very good. Factory X Muay Thai fighters have tremendous kickboxing. Yes, he's my pick in this fight. He's very dangerous and smooth with his stand-up style, whereas I feel like Quiñones has decent enough striking, and he is a southpaw, but it's almost more MMA athleticism based as opposed to smooth kickboxing. Like when I watch Mederos strike, I'm interested in watching it. Like, it's a beauty to watch. It's similar to what you see with guys over there, right? Factory X Muay Thai guys rip the damn calves beautifully. They destroy legs. And I think Mederos here is going to have success kicking legs. I think he's going to be switching his stances up. And he brings a quality pressure onslaught, which I like a lot, because I believe he's going to overwhelm Landon Quiñones. I feel like he's going to drown him in the stand-up. He's going to make him uncomfortable. It's going to take so much effort for Quiñones to be able to up and strike with Mederos that strikes are going to start finding the target, and he's going to get a knockout win. He actually, being Mederos, knocked out a pretty solid grappler on Contender Series with a knee KO. We can look at the name right here. He knocked out an OV grappler, Salikhov, last time out on Contender, and he fought off those takedown attempts. Quiñones does not have that top caliber wrestling. Like I said, MMA-based style. He's decent everywhere. He's athletic, but he is clearly outmatched here, and I think Mederos is going to shine in this fight. I think he's actually going to get a pretty scintillating KO. I think it's going to be an epic performance, and I'm very excited to watch it. As far as the odds, Mederos is actually only a close money favorite at -140 here, -142, with Quiñones at +122. I like the chances of Mederos getting this thing done. That's a beautiful money line right there, and I have a pretty strong hunch that he's getting it done. And I do kind of think we're going under 2.5, which is -130. We're looking at Mederos. We're looking at knockout. I think he's taking Quiñones out. I know Quiñones went long with Nasrat Haqparast. Haqparast is not the biggest puncher, but I know people will then say, oh, but he just knocked out Jamie Mullarkey. Jamie Mullarkey is not the most durable guy around. I think Mederos should win here against the Ultimate Fighter veteran, too, because Quiñones lost to Jason Knight quickly by sub on Tough. Yeah, Mederos by knockout. Sick performance incoming. Next fight on the card, ladies going after it here. It's Julia Stoliarenko versus Luana Carolina. My pick here is Stoliarenko all day. I don't think Carolina is all that good, but she has a horribly skilled striking game. Now, what are you talking about? Horribly skilled. What does that mean? It doesn't look good. It's very clunky, awkward, herky-jerky, and unorthodox, but it is effective against opposition. I mean, Carolina has legit wins in her career, so like I can't absolutely say she's a non-UFC caliber. She did beat Lupita Godinez. Granted, Godinez took it on real short notice. Still, last time, Petrovic win, a couple fights ago, the Godinez win you see there, and beat Botello on a split. Does have 2 losses. Molly Meatballs knocked her out, and then a split decision loss to a very past her prime Jojo Calderwood. I think that Julia Stoliarenko, engaging in grappling, will find success here. She can out-muscle Luana Carolina in all the grappling positions. She is technically superior in every grappling position. Stoliarenko's not a great striker. She has 0 wins by knockout and 3 knockout losses on the opposite side, but I think she's pretty competent with the striking. She actually fought in Lethwei. If you don't know what that is, it's like bare knuckle Muay Thai with headbutts. It's pretty crazy. I think Stoliarenko in this fight here shines. She's coming off a win over Molly Meatballs, quick submission, and she was a huge underdog there. Common opponent, obviously, you can say Molly Meatballs, but look at the performance for Stoliarenko, and then look how bad Carolina got knocked out, so definitely it's Stoliarenko. Styles do make the fights, but nonetheless, I predict that the grappling pressure will be a factor in this fight, and I think Stoliarenko will work towards getting a submission. So I'm going to pick Stoliarenko, and I'm going to pick submission for Stoliarenko in this fight. Now, looking at the lines for Stoliarenko. Let's see if we can find her here. You know, the reason I always bring up this page is because it's the most accurate. Tapology, sometimes a few days off with odds, just for those that wonder. -119 Stoliarenko, -101 Carolina. Close money fight. I feel pretty good about Stoliarenko winning. I don't think Luana Carolina is all that skilled, but like I said, it's herky-jerky and unorthodox, and she can beat certain girls, and the odds are pretty damn close here. I just see her getting it done. I do. I don't really love the over or anything there. I think Stoliarenko to win the fight by submission. I think that's quite live. And I'm looking forward to seeing what the prop looks like for submission. If it's at big plus money, that could be a decent little prop. Let's keep running up the card. Next fight on it, we got Blake Bilder versus Jeong Lee. I'm going to be picking Blake Bilder to beat Lee in this fight. I am not very impressed by Lee's game. He did struggle last time out. Granted, you'd say, oh, but he's got a great record, 22-3. Still, like, Lee barely got through it. He was backed up a lot in that fight. He was controlled a bit. And Blake Bilder, I mean, we're going to write him off, right? Because he lost to Kyle Nelson, and he was a fair-sized favorite there, and he was supposed to win that fight. But Kyle Nelson gave him a nice little business beatdown, and Nelson's a tricky striker. He's a veteran of the game. Jeong Lee, he's known for the emphatic power. He's known for finishing fights. He's known for being a guy that can start fast and bring a lot of danger to his opponents early on. Blake Bilder by no means is a chinny fighter. He's somebody that I think is pretty strong in the grappling department and well-rounded enough in the striking. I think we're looking at a fight that's competitive. And I think Blake Bilder is going to edge it on the judges' scorecards in a pretty back-and-forth fashion. I think when it comes down to The key moments, winning rounds, I think Bilder will get top control. I think Bilder will threaten with obviously takedowns, but strikes too. I think he'll land some shots on the feet. Now, sure, I can see Lee touching him as well. And I think that Lee had a lot of hype coming from his wins, right? In the road to UFC, he's getting shit done quickly, and he's knocking a lot of guys out, sparking them. When you get to the UFC caliber, those results tend to change. I think Blake Bilder is going to be ready to go. He has a win over Yeong, who I know Yeong is kind of like the, written off guy from the city kickboxing crew. He's kind of like somebody that, hasn't done well. Yeong hasn't done well. But Blake Bilder still has a unanimous decision win over him. And Yeong is, teetering on the UFC caliber. He is. With Lee, I think he can beat him. So we're going Blake Bilder to win, man. I'm picking him as an underdog in this fight. Currently, the odds have Blake Bilder up to plus 122. I think it's actually a pretty quality line there. Plus 122 makes a lot of sense to me, with Lee at minus 142. And an over 2.5 is only minus 115, but I think there's a good chance it goes over. Even let's say Lee is having success, Bilder is not a chinny fighter. Bilder is going to have the takedown option. And I think Blake Bilder wins by a decision. He was previously undefeated, 8-0, coming into the UFC with a ton of hype. And he was really predicted to beat Nelson. And now he's a dog against Jing Lee, who, yes, impressive record 10-1, but didn't look that good in the official UFC debut in that road to the UFC finale. So I'm going with Blake Bilder as a dog in this fight, guys. I think he can pull it off. Let's keep running up the card. Next fight, Themba Gorimbo versus Pete Rodriguez. I'm picking Pete Rodriguez, and I think that might be a very unpopular pick. You look at Tapology, like 26% on Rodriguez. I'll tell you why I'm picking Pete. If you go back and watch the Jack Della Maddalena fight, he had striking success. And then he fought Mike Jackson. So you go from fighting one of the best guys on the roster at 170 pounds in JDM, who's now fighting Gilbert Burns soon, and then you fight the absolute worst guy on the roster in Mike Jackson. He destroyed Mike Jackson. He got destroyed by Jack Della Maddalena. We don't have an exact telltale of where the skill lies of Pete Rodriguez, but I do know he's at a very good team, MMA Lab. I do know that he's doubted in the grappling, especially against Themba Gorimbo, is a guy who can bully opponents on the ground. But for what reason? Because we don't really get to see, especially in the UFC, him showcasing his ground skills, because he is a striker. Pete Rodriguez is a knockout puncher and a brawler, and a guy that definitely can chin Themba Gorimbo. But he has been doing jiu-jitsu since he was a kid. Go to his Instagram. There's a picture of him up from when he's a little dude. I don't know if he's 10 years old in the picture doing jits. So I believe there's going to be competency at the very least on the ground. MMA Lab is a tremendous team. I like the banging, striking style of Pete Rodriguez. If you can even touch JDM a little bit, you definitely can touch Themba Gorimbo. He's a southpaw too. And I think we're looking at a wild card fighter. And that's what Pete Rodriguez is against Themba Gorimbo, who I'm not impressed by. Gorimbo has a very pressure-based grappling style. And I know he knocked down Takashi Sato last fight, but I don't see him as a good striker. I think he's in the stand-up. He's mediocre in the stand-up. He's decent. He's an embrace the grind, good athlete, strong guy that has very good positional knowledge and control, but I don't think he's overly impressive. And I think Pete Rodriguez may have to deal with getting taken down and Gorimbo all over him. I think he finds ways back up. I think he's more competent on the ground than we expect. And when you talk about striking, Pete Rodriguez has a massive edge. But then the naysayers will tell me 77-inch reach Gorimbo, 73-inch reach Rodriguez. Look at the height difference, 6'1 to 5'9. Themba Gorimbo has never shown to me that he's a competent boxer from the outside and knows how to control distance. He's a guy who likes to close the gap and strike. And Pete Rodriguez is very dangerous in the close range. I think Pete Rodriguez is getting a knockout win. I believe in him here. He's taking this fight on short notice. Concerning was supposed to be Kiefer Crosby for Themba Gorimbo, but I believe in MMA Lab. And Pete Rodriguez is only 27. Themba Gorimbo is 33 years of age. He's 1-1 in the UFC. And he's in that prospect category as far as how many fights he's had in the octagon. But nothing I've seen from him screams future contender. I don't see that. Whereas with Pete Rodriguez, I look at his hands and I say, there's something special there. I believe he's got potential. I'm not telling you he's the next world champion, but I think he has something. And only at 27, 5-1 as a pro. He's a wild card fighter that I think lands a big knockout shot here. And I'm saying he sleeps Themba Gorimbo in what's going to be a pretty interesting fight. Looking at the odds, Themba Gorimbo is a minus 235 favorite. To Pete Rodriguez is a plus 200 underdog. I like the plus 200 dog here. Riding with him under 1.5, minus 135. Probably is going under 1.5. I think Gorimbo's getting hurt on the feet and he's getting knocked unconscious. Pete Rodriguez can fight, man. He can. He can throw hands, nasty hands. And I think his grappling skill set is going to be a lot better than we anticipate here. And I don't believe Themba Gorimbo can compete in the stand-up department. We're going Pete Rodriguez knockout. Let's keep running up. Next fight on the card, we got Charles Johnson versus Azat Maksum. Of course, the pick is Azat Maksum. It was actually initially supposed to be Maksum versus my boy Nate Maness. Shout out Nate Maness, man. He came on the channel when I had like 100 subscribers and did an interview with me. So he's a big W dude. I'm picking Maksum here to beat Charles Johnson because Johnson has proven to me that he struggles with grappling onslaught and pressure, and that's what Maksum's going to bring. And he also, being Maksum, has a pretty competent stand-up game to go alongside of the grappling skill set and the wrestling pressure which he has. Charles Johnson's on a 3-fight losing streak. Last time out, he was beaten pretty cleanly by Estevam, and then Durden fight, he had a good third round. Osborne split decision. Are you going to back the narrative and ride with the up-and-coming guy from Kazakhstan, greatest country in the world, and, you know, ride with somebody who could potentially be a contender who on paper looks like that's what he's going towards? Or do you think Charles Johnson is the guy to give him his first loss, someone who's very inconsistent in the octagon? Split decision over Zumagulov. Yes, he has an impressive win here over Jimmy Flick, but Jimmy Flick stand-up game is honestly one of the worst at flyweight, if not the worst, and that's just truth. I'm picking Azat Maksum to win this fight. Now, how does he get it done? Because I believe in the toughness and the grappling skill set defensively speaking of Charles Johnson, I'm going to go decision for Azat Maksum. Johnson's a quality fighter. He's got decent kickboxing. I just think it's a hard matchup once again. He's definitely not favored by the UFC, and I'm going to be picking Maksum to represent Kazakhstan and get the win. As far as the odds for this fight, Azat Maksum is a minus 170. Is that accurate? Or do we got different odds? That's the Nate Maness fight. Azat Maksum is higher than that. He's minus 200 actually against Charles Johnson. Johnson a plus 170 underdog in this fight. I'm feeling like there's a chance it goes over 2.5. That's minus 265. Flyweight division. There's a real possibility of it, but we will note it's not like Maksum is Mr. Decision, right? Last 5 wins. He's got 3 finishes, 2 submissions, 1 knockout. Charles Johnson, hard guy to finish, though. And that is why I'm picking decision win for Azat Maksum, who's coming off a nice W over Tyson Nam in a competitive split decision. I hold Nam in a higher regard than I hold Charles Johnson in all actuality, regardless of age. And Tyson Nam now being released from the UFC, it shows why Nam gave, Maksum some difficulties. An OG vet, he's explosive and his hips are crazy. He's got great defense and he can hit damn hard. Johnson doesn't have that kill shot power. He does have competent kickboxing, but I don't think it'll be enough to keep Maksum off of him. For that reason, we're going Maksum by decision. Let's keep running. Next fight on the card, it is our featured prelim of the night. It's Molly McCann versus Diana Belbiţă 2. So the story of this fight, they fought in 2019. Diana Belbiţă's UFC debut. Molly McCann beat her, and I believe it was a clean decision when I actually went back and rewatched that entire fight, and I thought Molly definitely deserved it at the end. Belbiţă's definitely improved, but she hasn't really showcased herself as high-level opposition in the UFC. Molly Meatballs had a nice run coming off back-to-back losses. Let me just throw the pick out. I'm going to pick Molly McCann to win. Note something interesting about this fight. It is taking place at 115 pounds, and my initial reaction being that Molly Meatballs is a 25er, and she did miss weight against Jillian Robertson years ago, was, oh shit. Is this Belbiţă's chance to beat her? Because Molly Meatballs is going to end up missing weight, having a botched cut, or not looking good. So I said, I need to dig deeper than just fight film. And I checked out the Instagram of Molly McCann, and she has a 6-pack abs, looks absolutely shredded, the best shape I have ever seen her in. And when you look at that first fight, there was a clear speed and boxing advantage for Meatballs, clear power and physical strength advantage for Meatballs. And I'm thinking now, Molly McCann, in her last 2 fights, has taken some bad losses. The Stoliarenko loss was horrendous. That was a loss where you consider retiring after getting beaten like that, as easy as that went down, especially Stoliarenko with a horrible record in MMA. Fight before that, Erin Blanchfield, okay? Blanchfield's elite. Blanchfield's top contender. She's fighting Manon Fiorot for the #1 contender fight. Belbiţă coming off a loss last time against Kavokevich and was getting outboxed. Kavokevich, even though she has competent stand-up, I don't think she's to the striking level of Molly Meatballs. Win over Mariah Oliveira, who's not very good, who's okay. UFC washout Gloria DePaula beat her. And then a win over Hannah Goldie, who Molly McCann also destroyed. And then Jojua submitted her with an armbar. Diana Belbiţă doesn't have elite grappling. She's got some armbar wins, but definitely not high-tier grappling. Her MMA wins, or specifically UFC wins, are all decisions. Molly McCann and her, I think, fight to a bout that looks very similar to the first time. And it's not that Belbiţă hasn't improved. She has. I think Molly Meatballs might be a better version of herself at 115 pounds. So I am going to pick Molly Meatball to get it done. I'm going McCann for the win. I believe she's going to pull it off. Now, I will be lying to you if I didn't think initially that maybe Belbiţă is an okay underdog here in this spot. But I have to stick with Molly McCann. It's her debut at 115. I want to see her on the scale. That is going to be a major takeaway. So make sure you tune into that weigh-in recap show Friday, and we'll do the post-weigh-in predictions and all. Looking at the odds for this fight here, Molly Meatballs currently minus 300. That's too wide for me to comfortably tell you to go bet down on it. Plus 250 for Belbiţă. The odds are it ends up going longer. Over 1.5, minus 240 for just 1.5 rounds. That's a sneaky play that you can parlay up now. I assume that line is going to spread wider. I find it hard to think that Belbiţă, if she is to be successful and win, gets it done in a round. I'm picking Molly McCann to pull this off. I think she can win again. Watching their first fight, I had a lot of positive takeaways from Molly McCann. I like the striking a lot. We've seen what Molly's done against lower tier opposition in the UFC, and I'm excited to see her now at 115, which maybe is her true natural weight class. Note something, she fought at 115 in her second amateur fight in MMA. She's never been that low ever before, or afterwards rather. Never again. And that was years ago, years and years ago. So we have to be a little worrisome about gas tank issues, hard weight cut, and loss of punching power. But as good as she is looking now, Molly Meatballs normally has a little fat on the stomach. I see six-pack abs. That gives me confidence. I think she can beat Diana Belbiţă. Belbiţă is a little stiff, too, with the stand-up. She's got decent kickboxing, Muay Thai-based striking with a judo background in the grappling. But in all actuality, you'd be lying to yourself if you say Belbiţă has punching power. She's more of an arm puncher. She throws a lot of straight shots, but it comes from here. There's not a lot of torque in her punches, whereas Molly Meatball is the complete opposite. She's a very good boxer, and she rips shots. I'm picking Molly McCann to win again. We're going Molly Meatballs. I will pick decision in this fight. That is the featured prelim of the night. Let's keep running up the card. Let's jump to our main card opener. If you guys haven't yet, make sure you smash that like button. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe. It's Gilbert Urbina versus Charles Radtke. I'm going to pick Gilbert Urbina. When this fight was discussed with me during my live streams all week, I do live streams every day. If you didn't know, now you know. I said to myself, man, maybe Charles Radtke's a decent dog here. But then digging into it, no. Another factor is I forgot Radtke's 5'9". I forgot Radtke is more so of a muscle-bound lightweight who's filled into this 170 frame, whereas Urbina, 6'3", 75-inch reach, very fast, good kickboxing game, competent on the ground, absolutely. Charles Radtke, to me, has decent enough hands and pressure, but I look at that Blood Diamond fight, and I got to give myself a white, man. I gotta be like Daniel Cormier out here, white myself. I'm getting too excited. I think Charles Radtke has okay skills, but it's just not enough. He's 33 years of age. He's got decent hooks. He's got decent pressure. He beat Blood Diamond by a decision. Urbina toyed with Orion Koshke last time and destroyed him. And Orion Koshke actually has a decision win over Blood Diamond as well. Don't matter. The styles make the fights. And Gilbert Urbina has a nice range advantage, which he has. More so with the legs, though, right? The reach is not crazy long. Radtke, 72-inch reach. Actually, it's not bad. But I think that Urbina takes him. I'm kind of leaning I wrote maybe knockout, maybe sub. I can see both facets coming to fruition. Kind of have a feeling that Urbina hurts Radtke, specifically working body shots, and then ends up strangling him. So I'm going to ride with the submission side. Definitely could see a knockout, but I'm going to go submission here. I think that Urbina can take Radtke's back and potentially lock something in I'm going with Urbina to get it done. I definitely believe he's the faster guy, long kickboxer, younger too, and I think more well-rounded. Looking at the lines for this fight here, Urbina is a minus 203, minus 200 favorite with Radtke at plus 170 range. I believe Urbina is a good pick here. Under 2.5 rounds, minus 130. I'll predict that he gets it done inside of the distance. Urbina for the win. I'm going to call submission in this fight, potentially a club and sub. I think he's taking Radtke out. Let's keep running. Next fight on the card, it's Salikhov Khizriev versus Makhmud Muradov. I am going to be picking Salikhov Khizriev to win this fight. I won't say my brain didn't ponder the other side, but I look at Muradov and I say, man, he's got decent enough stand-up for sure, and he does have pretty competent grappling, and he's a jacked and strong guy. But he's not overly impressive anywhere. And Salikhov Khizriev came into the UFC with a fuckload of hype. He came into the UFC as a minus 1,200 favorite against short notice replacement Denis Tululin, and he submitted him in the second round. And what was impressive, Khizriev has that Dagestan style, right? Consistent grappling, very good takedowns and control, submission finishes, but also he has a good kickboxing game. I like his high kicks a lot. He's deceptively fast in the striking department. He, unfortunately, was a victim of fights falling out and injuries, right? So he's been delayed. Like, if you look, in 2000, we're 3 years and 4 months ago. I'm not doing the exact math, but 3 years and 4 months ago, he wins on Contender Series and gets signed as this scary prospect, 50 seconds, strangling somebody. Then he gets to the UFC, right? A couple years later, it took him a while. Fights fell through. Beats Denis Tululin, and it's like, okay, finally, he's getting his flow going. Withdrew from another fight, so injuries have kind of kept him away from the cage, but I'm not going to let that diminish my confidence in the skill set. He's definitely a legitimate prospect. Looking at the side of Muradov, right, he's coming off of a win over Barberena by decision, needed to engage in grappling in that fight. Barberena is a talented striker. Muradov was embracing the grind there. But competitive fight. Definitely back and forth moments for both, actually. Muradov looked pretty good against Kyle Barayo. I got to give him some credit. And this loss here to Mearshart. Bad loss to Mearshart. Andrew Sanchez win and then Trevor Smith win. I think Khizriev is going to win. I think he's going to get Muradov to the floor. I think the grappling will be closer than most people anticipate. I think the shortness, being 5'9", of Khizriev will become an advantage in getting leverage and getting under Muradov on certain takedown attempts. I expect Khizriev to win. I'm going to believe in the prospect, right? If you look, he's got finishes, a good amount of them. Husamar Paharis knockout 5 years ago. It's just he's inconsistent. I'm going to say Khizriev by submission. That might come back to bite me in the ass because he might end up winning a decision here over Muradov. But I'm going to ride with the Khizriev side. And we're going OV versus EV. So the pick is tricky territory to me. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it's the last two letters of the last name. If you see OV and EV, I mean, you got to have, a bit of worry about the grappling skill sets. Khizriev is the better grappler. He is, and he's going to win the fight. Khizriev to pull this thing off. Believing in the prospect, it's minus 180. Muradov plus 155. Over 1.5, minus 190. Not crazy about it. Khizriev's been out for a while too. So, even though he's an EV, maybe it's not best to just throw it all down on him. But I really do have a strong feeling that he can get Muradov in this matchup. So we're going Salikhov Khizriev for a win. I know he's given up some height, reach not much, 1.5 inches, and the wrestling advantage favors Khizriev. And I'm excited to see what he's got, man. I know when he first came in, it was like people were hyping him up as if he was going to end up be something big. Hype has died down, but maybe you can get some back Saturday. Next fight on the card, ladies going after it. Viviane Araujo versus Natalia Silva. I am going to pick Natalia Silva. I think she is a great prospect, not just a good prospect, but a great prospect in the women's flyweight division. I think that she is on the track to be somebody fighting for the belt in 2025. And if she beats Viviane Araujo, massive things lie ahead. She's a very good kicker. She's got a Taekwondo background. She's also an extremely solid grappler. It's also her birthday on fight day. So happy early birthday to Natalia Silva. I'm expecting she gets the best gift of all, which is a UFC victory in the biggest fight of her MMA career. Viviane Araujo, though, coming off a win over Jennifer Maia where she was written off. I writ her off too. I thought it was over for her. She shows she still got the juice left. Physically strong girl, athletic, competent stand-up, well-rounded, and has been around forever. But I do think Natalia Silva is definitely faster. I think Natalia Silva is technically superior in the grappling department and in the striking department. And I think a hard 3 rounds ensues with Natalia Silva getting her hand raised at the end. Natalia Silva coming off a pretty dominant win over Andrea Lee last time out. And then, like I said, Jennifer Maia win for Araujo. She does have 2 losses, though. Hebas got her. Grasso got her. I got a good feeling that Natalia Silva is going to get her, too. So we're going Natalia Silva to get it done. Looking at the odds for this fight here, Natalia Silva is pretty wide of a favorite last time I looked here. Minus 339 for Natalia Silva. Nearly minus 340. It's even wider at some spots. Plus 279 Araujo. Obviously, odds subject to change, but ranging in that 3-1 or more territory for Natalia Silva. With an over 2.5 at minus 300, I will predict we're going long here. I think Araujo's a pretty tough vet. Like, it's going to be hard for her to get put out. Chukagan lost, Grasso lost, Hebas lost, win over Andrea Lee. Both of them have that. You look at some wins there. Leonardo destruction, Belbiţă destruction, beat Jaz Davicius, and we're looking to Brazilian regional scene. But Natalia Silva's looking like she's got the goods, and I'm going to have faith that she does. I'm riding with the prospect here to emerge as a contender after Saturday. Natalia Silva for the win. Next fight on the card, it's our featured bout of the night. It's Randy Brown versus Muslim Salikhov. This fight was initially supposed to take place at UFC 296, and now we get it later, and I'm very happy we did because, you know, you guys, if you follow the channel consistently, I should say, and you watch those daily live streams, you know, I'm limiting those ripskis, and I have a different vision of this matchup now than before. I am picking Muslim Salikhov to get a win in this fight. Randy Brown is front foot heavy. He uses range well, but he plants that lead foot to throw jabs. Salikhov has tremendous calf kicks. He's also going to be the physically stronger guy, and I think he's the heavier puncher. Randy Brown has good punch combinations, but not very effective with stopping guys. He just doesn't have big punching power. He jabs on you and he moves. Salikhov, more sophisticated striking. He's much better with the legs than Randy Brown. In the grappling department, I know Randy Brown's going to have that length advantage, but like I said, I believe Salikhov is the physically stronger fighter. I'm picking Muslim Salikhov to win by a decision in what's going to be an upset here. And if you look at the loss for Salikhov last time to Nicholas Dalby, that is not a bad loss. Dalby just beat Gabriel Bonfim, who was supposed to be the next big thing. Andre Fialho win. Fialho's cut from the UFC mid, but he still beat him. Lost to Leach. Leach has got that stinging one-punch power. Randy Brown does not. Win over Trinaldo, and then a Zaleski win by split, which is impressive to me. Jared Gooden win. Jared Gooden's okay. Chaos Williams split decision. Chaos Williams has not looked good. He was dropped multiple times in that fight, too, was Randy Brown. Trinaldo win. Both of them beat Trinaldo. Lost to Jack Della Maddalena. He got ran over in that fight and submitted. And then Wellington Turman, a competitive win over Turman, which I don't think was impressive. And that gives me more confidence in the nearly 40-year-old Salikhov to win a hard-fought decision over Brown. I'm going to ride with him. I'm going Muslim Salikhov to get it done. Now, as far as the odds for the matchup, Salikhov is plus 195 as the underdog, and then Randy Brown minus 230 is the favorite. Looking at an over, it's minus 160. Not crazy about it. I'm picking decision win for Salikhov. I don't think Randy Brown's an easy guy to put away, but also, wouldn't tell you to go throw it all down in that over. I think Salikhov's a live underdog. I get the red flags, though. Being 40 years of age, coming off of a loss, I understand. Length disadvantage, certainly. But I'm telling you, watch for those leg kicks. The calf's going to get beaten up. Randy Brown's going to be ripped apart. His movement will then suffer, and I think Salikhov will have much more striking success. We're going Muslim Salikhov for the win over Randy Brown. Co-main event of the evening. Renato Moicano versus Drew Dober. I'm picking Renato Moicano to defeat Drew Dober by submission in this fight. I know Drew Dober is a tremendous power puncher. He's a southpaw. He's smooth as hell in the striking. Nasty kicks. Big fucking punching power. Like, holy shit. I know I said it twice, but you have to say it twice with Drew Dober. The concern to me is Moicano's stand-up is definitely better than people give him credit for. I think that his straight punches are pretty solid. I think he's going to be able to put pressure on Dober and work him towards the grappling. And when they go to the ground, I promise you, Renato Moicano is so much faster with his grappling transitions than his opposition will be with his grappling defense. I'm telling you, Moicano by sub. I'm seeing him subbing him up, man. We got to watch for one thing, though, with Dober. He's got that big right hook to the left hand straight. Powerful shots. Moicano, though, pretty decent from distance. Not an easy guy to just pick apart and rip. And I know people say, oh, he's chinny. Khizriev knocked him out. Khizriev is elite tier with his stand-up. Oh, but he got knocked out at 145. That's 145. He's at 55 now. He's filled out his frame. I think Renato Moicano is going to shine when they go to the grappling, and I think he's going to win this fight. Money Moicano. Moicano wants money. Give him a chance to get a little big money. I'm hoping he gets a performance of the night. Obviously, Moicano has a YouTube channel, and I am going to add this as part of the video. Moicano never replied to my DM. He replied to the first one, but then he didn't reply to the second one, but he followed me, so I got love for him. Moicano, after this win, and after I call a perfect submission call for you, I think we got to collab. Me and Moicano collab 2024. If you want to see it, let me know in the comments. I think we got to make it happen on a live stream even. We'll just chop it up for a bit. So shout out Moicano. I'm going with my guy. I think he's winning by sub. Looking at Money Moicano, he's a minus 145 favorite. I like the lines. Drew Dober plus 125 underdog. And this fight going under 1.5 minus 125. I want the under 2.5, man. I don't want to see that under 1.5 there. Like, it could go longer. But yeah, I'm going to pick Moicano to win, man. Win by sub against Brad Riddell. Riddell has a win over Drew Dober, but, you know, styles make the fights. Obviously, didn't get Bias in Brazil, and then fighting RDA on a few days' notice, he lost the decision. Hernandez submission win, Jai Herbert submission win, and then obviously Dober last time beat Rick Glenn, has a loss to Frivola, win over Bobby Green, even though he's getting beaten up from the outside. Alves win, and then Terrence McKinney, who, you know, destroyed him early, but then he came back. Moicano by submission makes a lot of sense to me here. Main event of the evening. If you guys haven't yet, make sure you smash that like button. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe. This one for me was the trickiest pick of the entire card. I'm going to pick Nasruddin Imavov to beat Roman Dolidze. I think Imavov is definitely going to be technically superior in the stand-up. I think he's going to have success touching Dolidze from the outside. Something about Roman Dolidze that I love, but I also hate, is he's willing to walk opponents down recklessly. Somebody like Imavov, who works a pretty good jab and snipes opponents well from the outside, is going to have a lot of success keeping Dolidze off of him. The lateral movement of Imavov is very good. And then we look at what? Dolidze potentially engaging in the grappling. Can we not forget that we got Dagestan blood? Imavov is of the Dagestan lineage, man. He's got Dag blood. I believe the takedown defense will be there. He's a very competent grappler, and he's a very high IQ fighter, and he's young. 27 years of age, Nasruddin Imavov. Fight to fight, you're seeing significant improvements. He's gone 5 rounds with Sean Strickland in competitive fashion. Yes, he lost, but still impressive to even go out there and fight Sean Strickland, regardless if it was Strickland on short notice. He was beating Chris Curtis cleanly last time. Unfortunately, headbutt led to a no contest. I believe Imavov's stand-up is going to be on point. I had a Joe Rogan moment. I almost called him like Imazov. Imavov's striking will be on point. He'll touch him up from the outside. He'll keep on the bicycle and move. Dolidze will chase. He'll get countered. Dolidze has big punching power, but he's wild. He's a bullying pressure fighter that throws very hard shots. Yes, that works well against somebody like Marvin Vettori, who's stuck in the mud and doesn't have great footwork, who doesn't have extremely impressive skills anywhere, but normally can overwhelm opponents with a bullying style too. The bully versus the bully, it tends to work out, you know, in the fashion that it did. I know Dolidze lost the decision, but he didn't lose to Marvin Vettori. He beat Marvin Vettori. He lost on the scorecards, but he won to me, and he won to the many watching. He did damage to Marvin Vettori. Dolidze's a power puncher. He also has a very competent grappling game. Legit Brazilian jiu-jitsu. But he's dealing with Dagestan blood in the grappling department and the French kickboxing. And he's also at a, you know, bit of a significant age disadvantage. Dolidze, nearly 36, or rather 35 and a half. I won't give him the 36 yet. We got Imavov, who's nearly 28. Imavov is just emerging into his prime. Dolidze is at the point where we know his level. I don't think he bullies Imavov here. I'm going to pick Roman Dolidze to lose. Yeah, not picking him to win. Almost got you guys. I'm going to Imavov by a decision, but I will tell you, I believe this is an extremely competitive fight. This was one of the trickiest picks I've made in a while. I sat on it for a good amount of time. And I'm seeing Imavov outstriking him technically, staying safe in the grappling, and winning on the cards. Minus 159 for Nasruddin Imavov. Roman Dolidze plus 139 is the dog. Not telling you to go bet this money line. This type of main event, high stakes, high tier. And we got to find out just a little bit more about both these guys. I think this fight gives us the perfect painted picture of what to expect in the future. I personally am not a big fan of throwing down on the Imavov side. Now, I understand people say, bro, I'm betting Dolidze. He's a dog. And I get why. I get the mentality. He's got good grappling. He's a powerful puncher. But Imavov is technically superior in the striking, and he does have a very competent grappling game in his own right, especially defensively. Over 2.5 rounds, minus 150. Probably is going longer. I like the over 2.5 more than the money line, to be honest. We're going Nasruddin Imavov to win the main event. And I'm saying he's getting it by a decision over Roman Dolidze. This is going to be a crazy fight. I'm actually really excited to see these two throw down because it's like a weird one to imagine. The stylistic clash is very intriguing. The bully versus the technician. And I can't wait to find out who gets it in the main event. And looking at Imavov, couple wins. That Buckley one, first 2 rounds amazing, third round sucked. Shabazian win, dominance. Ian Heinisch win, dominance. Obviously the Strickland loss. Curtis win, or rather no contest, but he won. Starpoli decision, that's before Dolidze unlocked his power. Knocked out Kyle Dawkins, who got cut from the UFC. Knocked out Phil Hawes, who doesn't have good durability. Actually doesn't have durability probably, like just to be fair. Beat Jack Hermanson with an extremely weird, leg positional control to the back control. It was an epic move. He had his leg like flipped up like this and had it in a fucking triangle. A leg triangle to back control to ground and pound. And then obviously the controversial loss to Marvin Vettori. To be real, Dolidze shouldn't be an underdog here, but I'm still going to pick Imavov to pull this one off. We'll see what happens when the cage door closes. I'm sitting back and enjoying this main event. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the breakdown of this UFC Vegas 85 fight card. I appreciate you all tuning in. Make sure you smash the likes, and if you're new, subscribe. I got daily content on the channel, which includes those daily live streams. So make sure you guys turn those post notifications on and put them on all, not just personalized, so you don't miss a video or a live stream, because I'm doing it every damn day. Keep it locked in right here at MMA Experts. Much love to my people. You guys are tremendous, and I'm so happy to have the UFC back for like 8+ weeks straight. If you're curious about my content posting schedule, I got it in the description now. So make sure you check that description out to know, the dates of the videos that I'll be dropping. Much love, everybody. Let me know in the comments what you think. And if you got nothing to say, but you just enjoy the content, as always, W in the chat to boost the algorithm for your boy. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you all in the next one. Peace out.